Hi guys, welcome back to the Anime Multi-Universe. My name is Biggie, back with another reaction video. So today we've got a One Piece video reaction from none other than Mr. Moj. Okay, so he's got a video here titled The Greatest Strength of Each Yonko Crew. So I'm assuming he's going to cover all of the Yonkos to highlight what are some of the key things that make them stand out as a crew. So on the thumbnail, we've got the great guy, Whitebeard. We've got the Shanks Pirates, the Red Hair Pirates, and then obviously, you know, our protagonist, the Straw Hats. I'm excited to see. I wonder what angle he's gonna come at it from. Is it more of a power thing, you know? But yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the reaction.
We have seen 7 different Yonko crews. What makes each of them unique? In individual combat,
damn, we've seen 7 Yonko
captains are on a comparable level to each other. However, what makes the balance of power among the 4 emperors so interesting is how Oda thought of various factors that go beyond each individual captain's strength. In crafting each Yonko empire, there are a multitude of other aspects that were written in, from subordinates to territories to alliances to strategies, all of which come together to make an extremely varied landscape in the pirate world, where every single Yonko crew that we've seen has their own unique strengths that seem to give them a personalized advantage over the competition. That's why looking across the series at every Yonko crew, the Whitebeard Pirates, the Red-Haired Pirates, the Beast Pirates, the Big Mom Pirates, the Blackbeard Pirates, Cross Guild, and finally the Straw Hat Pirates, no 2 empires are alike. They all have their own unique brand and their own unique specialties that make them a force to be reckoned with. So today we're going to break down the greatest strength of each empire, starting of course with the first and foremost of the great Yonko crews we've seen, the Whitebeard Pirates. Now you could argue that the Whitebeard Pirates' greatest strength was the captain Whitebeard himself. After all, he is the only pirate in history to be able to stand on equal footing with the Pirate King, Roger. Whitebeard has long held the title of the world's strongest pirate.
Dog, that's wild, eh? That's actually wild. The fact that Whitebeard was able to go toe-to-toe with Roger's crazy. And when I think about it, like Moji's right, the title is strongest man alive.
Arguably the most powerful devil fruit in existence. However, in his latter years, a lot of Whitebeard's strength was diminished, leaving it uncertain where he stood in comparison to the other Yonko. As such, at the time that the story of One Piece actually takes place,
bro, but like, I mean, aside from Whitebeard's power, dog, like think about the subordinates, Marco, Diamond Jesu, you know, Ace. Nah. The Whitebeard Pirates went crazy.
The pirates' greatest strength was actually their military fleet. Out of all the Yonko crews that we've seen so far, it's very possible that only the Whitebeard Pirates would have been able to amass such a large armada to have a legitimate all-out war against the world government. To begin with, the actual core fleet of the Whitebeard Pirates is in itself ridiculously stacked. There are 16 full divisions and countless powerful fighters, including Marco, Jozu, Vista, and Ace, all of whom have impressive showings against the very best the world government has to offer. On top of this, even the lower division commanders were shown to be comparable to the Marines' best vice admirals. And when we did finally get a full spotlight on one of the lower division commanders, even someone like Izzo proved to be just as strong as CP0's best. But all of this still only makes up a small part of Whitebeard's fleet. Whitebeard was a true protector of the seas, taking various nations and pirate crews under his wing. And in turn, this meant that the Whitebeard Pirates had countless powerful allies from across the New World that would all come together to willingly go into war with him. The full allied forces of the Whitebeard Pirates included heavy hitters like Jinbei and Oars Jr., as well as various infamous pirate crews. Overall,
hang on. Jinbei used to be under Whitebeard.
It certainly seems that the full military force of the Whitebeard Pirates likely posed the greatest individual threat to the world government when considering both quantity and quality, especially in light of recent showings from other Yonko crews. However, while Whitebeard's overall force was likely the greatest, in terms of pure quality of the core crew, it is most likely the Red-Haired Pirates that would stand out as number 1. Now, we may be getting ahead of ourselves here, as we have barely seen the Red-Haired Pirates fight, but there are a lot of clues in the story so far that seem to be building up the Red-Haired Pirates as having the strongest core members. To begin with, when the Marines were explaining each Yonko's unique strengths, the key aspect of Shanks' crew that was emphasized was his core crew members. Out of all the Yonko crews the Marines discussed, the only crew where the Marines made a point to individually acknowledge each of the top fighters was the Red-Haired Pirates, which suggests to me that Ben Beckman, Lucky Roo, and Yasop may be standouts even by the standards of Yonko commanders. Now, to be fair, fair, the Whitebeard pirates no longer existed as a Yonko crew to be discussed at this time, and it should be acknowledged that, to date, Marco of the Whitebeard pirates is by far the most talked about and praised Yonko commander that we've ever seen in the series. However, the possibility that Shanks' core crew may be even more impressive than Whitebeard's core crew is also backed up by a recent revelation that we got in Elbaf. See, Shanks has a giant fleet as well, just like Whitebeard, just like Big Mom, just like even the Straw Hat pirates at this point. But the difference is that Shanks' fleet doesn't really add to his military strength. In fact, his fleet is a detriment. They are practically a liability in battle, needing to be protected. Yet, despite the red-haired pirates having such a weak fleet, they are still able to command the same respect as other Yonko empires.
And you know what's funny, dog? When I actually think about these crews, when they travel together, it's not like the whole fleet is traveling in one ship, right? I'm assuming that like you've got different fleets occupying different territories. But with Shanks, every time you see him, he's with his core group, right? I would assume that with the likes of like Ace, Marco, when they were under Whitebeard, they would all have to be in their individual boats. That's what I would think, like with their individual fleets. Because it doesn't actually make sense when I think about it that you could have all of the core members with their captain in one crew without commanding their other fleets, or that's only done in the case of like a battle, to say that if they're going into a war like at Marineford, then that's when everybody, for example, in the Straw Hat's ship would hop off and lead their respective fleets. I wonder.
The red-haired pirates are still able to maintain their status and their territories despite being seemingly severely disadvantaged when it comes to the numbers game. Perhaps this is too much of an assumption, but to me this would logically suggest that the red-haired pirates' core crew must be particularly strong. This seems consistent with the additional praise that the Marines made sure to heap on the individual fighters of the red-haired pirates. Not to mention the core members of the red-haired pirates alone were considered a significant enough threat that both the Marines and the Blackbeard pirates decided it was not worth continuing the war any longer. However, good fighters aren't everything. When you can't beat your opponents fairly, then why not just use broken weapons? That's the Beast Pirates motto after all, as their unique advantage that no other Yonko crew seems to have is their weapons. That's right, Kaido specifically took over Wano to turn the nation into a weapons factory. Kaido also has his own personal weapons developer, Queen, and on top of that, Kaido's been the primary buyer of various chemical weapons from Caesar Clown. The Beast Pirates are all about gaining an advantage by having the best weapons, and ultimately investing in weapons was an extremely...
Okay, so I hear what Moj is saying here, right? And what I will say is this wasn't well established. Well, anyway, when I was watching Wano, right? Because if you look at all of the, Beast Pirates, I think Queen is probably the one that you could say, yes, was a representation of this analysis or whatever the case it is. Because to me, everybody there was just the Beast. I would even say that it was more apparent that the Beast Pirates were using, what do they call those devil fruits? Well, they were Beast Pirates, so yeah. But what I'm trying to get at is to say that in terms of weapon manufacturing, what are we talking about when we say weapons? Are we talking about like guns, swords, etc.? Because to me, that wasn't actually well established.
Smart business decision by Kaido, considering the fact that if one of the very best that your crew has to offer is Jack, then you know you're not going to become Pirate King based on quality of fighters alone. That's why over the course of Zou and Wano, we saw that a huge part of what makes the Beast Pirates so dangerous is that they have a lot of deadly weapons to fall back on. The war against the Minks was dead even, but ultimately the Beast Pirates won it entirely thanks to their poison gas weapon. Throughout Wano, we saw Sea Stone used in a variety of ways. In Udon, we saw the Mummy virus used. In Onigashima, Queen broke out his own personal Ice Oni virus. Hell, Kaido's weapons armory even single-handedly defeated one of Kaido's Yonko rivals for him. In terms of the actual arms race among the Yonko crews, the Beast Pirates were clearly head and shoulders above the rest of the field, with far more advanced and varied weaponry across the board, from chemical warfare to sea stone to explosives and so on. The world is honestly probably lucky that the Beast Pirates were defeated in a surprise raid where they didn't have time to prepare, because if we ever got to see the Beast Pirates come out fully prepared for war with all of their chemical weapons and sea...
Could they even get prepared, bro? I mean, Kaido was just a mumbling drunk, man.
It's actually very possible that they would have been able to defeat the other Yonko Empire. Now, on the other hand, the Big Mom Pirates seem to excel in a far more nuanced aspect of power, which is in leverage and negotiation. Big Mom makes
Okay.
a lot of alliances, but unlike, say, Whitebeard or Shanks, it is not through friendship. And unlike Kaido, Big Mom does not beat nations or crews into submission by force. The Big Mom pirates are more political in how they operate. Again, they utilize varying degrees
true.
of leverage and negotiation to get their way. For instance, Big Mom negotiates a deal with Germa 66 to get her hands on their technology. Now, how does she get Sanji to follow through on the deal that she arranged? She uses Zeph as leverage to force Sanji to obey the terms of the deal. Similarly, various underworld brokers seem to work hand in hand with Big Mom, many of them attending her famous tea parties. Now, what happens if someone turns her down? They get their family member's head sent to them in a box. Along those lines, Big Mom had a sort of
Wow.
protection racket going on where she would offer the security of a Yonko crew as a shield to a nation like Fishman Island in exchange for exorbitant amounts of payment. Out of all the Yonko crews, the Big Mom pirates really function the most like a giant organized mafia. They are not an overly militant, domineering force that crushes nations and pirate crews into subservience like the Beast Pirates, nor are they kind and altruistic like the Whitebeard Pirates or the Redhaired Pirates. The Big Mom pirates play the line right down the middle, the political game of using their strength more subtly to—
Damn, that's crazy. That's crazy. Moj makes such a good point, dog. And I think for me it's more surprising because of how Big Mom is depicted, but she probably plays the most she's probably the most intellectual in terms of how she organizes a group. That's dope.
influence, gaining power by essentially making offers that no one can refuse. Now this brings us to the new generation of the Yonko, starting with the Blackbeard Pirates.
Okay,
Blackbeard Pirates'
let's
greatest
see.
strength is simple: strategy. This can be
Okay.
largely credited to Blackbeard himself, who is probably the greatest strategic mind in the One Piece world, though his plans can often be better described as the gambles of a mad genius rather than airtight schemes. However, thanks largely to Blackbeard's chess moves, we've seen the Blackbeard Pirates go from absolute nobodies, even less established than the Straw Hat Pirates when they were first introduced, to a Yonko crew in the span of just 1 year. From cleverly becoming a Shichibukai to gain access to Impel Down, where Blackbeard could immediately fill out his crew with extremely powerful fighters, to then going on to capitalize on the Marineford War that Blackbeard himself orchestrated to kill Whitebeard and steal his fruit, we saw that essentially through pure strategy, Blackbeard became the first character to actually kill and dethrone a Yonko. And since then, the Blackbeard Pirates have gone on a sort of opportunistic rampage, strategically swooping in at all the right moments to gain more and more power, first taking over Whitebeard's vulnerable territories, then scavenging from the fallen Big Mom Empire, now seizing the road poneglyphs from the helpless Trafalgar Law. They are by far the smartest crew in One Piece history when it
Helpless
comes to picking their
Trafalgar Law.
spots, and
That's
it has
wild.
clearly paid major dividends for them over the years. In a straight fight, they still seem weaker than many other Yonko crews, but their greatest strength is that they will never give you a straight fight. They figure out—
Whoa. Speaking about Law, did Law make it into the Yonko, or it was only Kid and Luffy?
how to stack the odds in their favor, and in doing so, they're only going to continue getting stronger and stronger. Now, another Yonko crew that doesn't seem like it has quite the same level of military strength as the others is Cross Guild. Sure, they have Mihawk, who we can assume is on the same level as the original Yonko captains, but after that, it's pretty much just Crocodile. Even if we assume that Crocodile has gotten a lot stronger and can now play the role of, say, a Katakuri or a Marco, the reality is that most Yonko crews have at least 3 extremely high-level commanders, as well as a slew of other extremely powerful subordinates below them. In Cross Guild,
And
after
yeah, they
Crocodile,
don't
we
have
just
the-
have Das Bones. That's it. Remember, Buggy's own fleet is complete fodder. It was established that Buggy's absolute best soldier was Hajrudin, a guy that could barely keep up with one of Doflamingo's lowest officers, and Buggy's next best soldiers after Hajrudin
Don't do
were
Buggy like
Hajrudin's
this, bro.
subordinates. To put this into perspective, Hajrudin himself doesn't even crack the top 3 of Luffy's fleet in terms of strength, and even the strongest members of Luffy's fleet are nowhere near as strong as Luffy's actual core crew. So when I say Buggy's fleet is fodder, it is really truly fodder. There is a reason it was basically about to be wiped out until the other Shichibukai came in and saved them. At the end of the day, the Cross-Guild quote-unquote Yonko Empire
Dog, I don't know.
is really just
This
Mihawk
bloody
and his
fiber.
trusty sidekick
How is
Crocodile.
this, how
This is
am I
not
on fiber and this thing's
exactly a
buffering, bro?
force that can go to war with the world government the way that the Whitebeard pirates once did.
God damn.
However, a large part of the reason the world government views Cross-Guild as such a threat is because the world government is still under the impression that Buggy, the captain, is also strong. And here lies Cross-Guild's true greatest strength: public manipulation. Yonko Buggy's rise to
Yeah.
power came through, essentially,
True.
propaganda. He has definitely spread a far greater fear of his name than his actual strength should command. And now we see Cross-Guild as a whole manipulating the public into actually turning against the Marines, incentivizing the common man to rise up and kill prominent Marine officers. Even if Cross-Guild is technically weaker than any other Yonko crew, Cross-Guild right now poses the single greatest threat to the Marines, as Cross-Guild has turned the Marines from the hunters into the hunted. However, even if Cross-Guild is the biggest threat to the Marines today, ultimately we know that the real crew that the Marines should fear the most is the
Is
Straw
the
Hat
Straw
Pirates.
Hats.
I've saved the best for last because honestly, at this point in the story, there is a genuine argument that the Straw Hat Pirates are already the single most powerful Yonko crew to ever exist. At the beginning, I said that the Whitebeard Pirates had the greatest military force of the Yonko crews, but I was being generous with that statement as it is very arguably not true. Because the Straw Hat Pirates' core crew is certainly already comparable to any other Yonko's core crew, but the Straw Hat Pirates also have their own grand fleet of powerful fighters from across the New World and 5,600 soldiers. And the Straw Hats also have countless powerful allies that they could potentially call upon, from Marco to Boa Hancock to even mighty nations like Wano, Zo, and Fishman Island. Meaning there is a very legitimate argument that if the Straw Hats went to war today and called upon every ally that they could reasonably rely upon, they would already make for a more formidable enemy than what Whitebeard brought to the table at Marine Ford. Now, I did give the nod to the Whitebeard Pirates in that department of overall military strength for now, purely out of respect for the old man, and so instead I would say that the greatest strength of the Straw Hat Pirates is their growth rate. See, while the Blackbeard Pirates technically became a Yonko crew the fastest, going from essentially complete unknowns to officially a Yonko crew in just 1 year, that mainly reflects their fast rise in reputation and notoriety. In terms of actual growth in strength, as well as allies and resources, the Straw Hats are unrivaled. The Straw Hat Pirates were literally just an East Blue level crew 2 years ago, and they have already clearly outstripped the Blackbeard Pirates in overall core crew strength. And when taking into account the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, plus their allied pirate crews and allied nations, the Straw Hats have outstripped pretty much every other Yonko crew in terms of overall military power. It just makes sense. As the protagonists, the Straw Hats have to grow faster than everyone else to resolve the story, and very soon we won't even be comparing them to any other Yonko crews. Rather, the Straw Hats' core crew will be as strong as the Roger Pirates themselves, and the Straw Hats' combined allied forces will be greater than anything that the world has ever seen. A true world government ending armada. So let me know what you think is the greatest strength of each Yonko crew in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, then definitely like and subscribe, and you can get my extended thoughts on certain unique contrasts in the Yonko crews on my weekly podcast by supporting me on Patreon. Just hit the link in the description below.
Oh, dog, Moj is crazy, bro. When it comes to this One Piece anime creation stuff, Moj is a monster. I mean, he definitely hasn't gotten the notoriety of like the other guys, but like, come on, bro. Moj is like the Kendrick Lamar of like this freaking One Piece stuff, where you've got your Drakes, etc., etc. And I ain't gonna be political, okay? But this was beautiful. I think I agree with like the Straw Hats. The ones that I'm just a bit torn on is Kaido's crew. You know, Kaido's crew. Because I feel like that wasn't well established, man, in my opinion, that these guys have such a huge advantage because of the weapons they were creating. Even though, yes, I understand that they were manufacturing weapons in Wano, but the most impressive for me is Big Mom. You know, even though Big Mom's portrayal is horrible, like a mumbling old woman, but she was the leader, and you know, and to think that they were so political and they played the game so well, is quite impressive. And as for Baggy Dog, eventually the jig is gonna be up. But yeah, that's it for the reaction video. Please leave a like. Let me know in the comment section which video I should react to next, and definitely subscribe to the Enemy Multi Universe. Until next time, I'm out of here.